This flat part that we're walking on is known as the bench or the stability berm. It's designed to help minimize erosion and break the slope into two segments.
And is that when we're actually having a flooding event, when this would be much more full?
If you notice behind me, you got the principal spillway pipe there, and if in the event that the water's full to that level, and maybe it maintains there for a little while, this bench is about the same level, so this acts like a wave berm, just like down below here, so that the water, like with the wind blowing it, it won't cause erosion. It can dissipate the energy out of the water up against this next section or height of the dam there.
So Megen, tell us about where we are today.
Well, we're at the Hone Quarry Dam here in Rockingham, Virginia. This dam is actually located on Forest Service land, but the local Soil and Water Conservation District is the owner and operator of this dam.
So tell me a little bit more about soil and water conservation districts.
So there are actually 47 soil and water districts in Virginia. Of those 47 soil and water districts, 12 of them are dam owners. Soil and water districts are political subdivisions of the state, and these 12 dam owners own 104 soil and water district dams all across the state.
And Cory, how do you interface with the soil and water conservation districts?
So I work for the Natural Resources Conservation Service, and our predecessor agency, the Soil Conservation Service, built most of these dams started in the late 40s up through the early or late 90s. And so we help work with local partner, in this case the Shenandoah Valley Soil and Water Conservation District, and they were the partner of the dam, and we provided the funding. And so we have an operation and maintenance agreement with the partners that have the dams for them to operate them for anywhere from 50 to 100 years. In this case at Hone Quarry, it's 100 years. So we oversee to make sure that the dam is being maintained according to that operation and maintenance agreement.
Yes, I remember seeing some really dramatic pictures from the archives of Bridgewater College and Rockingham Historical District showing devastating floods, I think in the 1940s. So can you talk about the history of flooding and how an earthworks dam like this would be built and engineered to try to help control those kinds of problems?
So landowners downstream recognized flooding as a problem, and the federal government came in, Soil Conservation Service, and designed many, right, Cory, many flood control structures, not all of which got actually implemented, but there were many designed for the purpose of protecting all of those agricultural fields downstream of large watersheds.
So can y'all explain what we see here as we're standing on the dam and see this, cute little lake behind it?
Well, this area here is known as the embankment. That, of course, is the lake, and that concrete structure out there is commonly referred to as the tower or principal spillway. And in the bottom of the tower, there's a pipe that runs through the embankment and comes out on the other side. And that's designed to carry the water from the lake, from the wet side of the embankment, to the outlet on the dry side of the embankment. Cory, what else can you add? I'm sure I'm missing something here.
So maybe mention the embankment and the principal spillway. We also have what we call an auxiliary spillway or emergency spillway. That's over here on the hill behind us. And so in the event of a heavy rainfall event, the principal spillway is taking all it can. The water continues to fill up. The water will actually then start overflowing out of the emergency spillway and going down to the stream down below the dam. That's usually in a really severe storm event. This dam was designed for a 100-year flood event to try to store that.
And it would take lots and lots of water, perhaps even days, and in saturated soil conditions for this dam to fill up. But that's what it's designed to do. It's just designed to fill up, flow out, and activate the spillway if needed. And
basically slowly release the water, hold and store it. And many landowners downstream don't see flash flooding events anymore because this dam and others in the area are holding back heavy rainfalls.
When has maybe the emergency spillway actually been activated since this dam was built? I think you said in 1968?
Yes, this dam was built in 1968, and to my knowledge it's operated, I know for sure, in 1985, in the November of 1985 flood event, it activated, and then maybe possibly once or twice in 1996. But in 1985, it did operate, the emergency spillway did, and it did cause some damage at the outlet where it goes back into the stream, and they had to come back in early 1986 to repair that.
And that's part of the operation and maintenance that the Soil and Water District, as a sponsor or the owner of the dams, is part of what we're here to do. So you can see this dam's been mowed, and that's one of our responsibilities, is to maintain adequate vegetation. And we do that through mowing, keep down all the trees and any woody vegetation from becoming established on the dam. And as a dam owner, We're responsible for ensuring any debris that comes in on the face of the dam during flooding conditions. If there's areas that are destroyed or damaged or eaten out by the erosive water, we're required to come back and fix those and address those so that the dam is sound and ready to function again should it need to.
So why would you be worried about trees on the actual embankment? And I think we were also talking about groundhogs maybe being a problem.
Yeah, so you don't want trees growing on the dam because for several reasons, but one of the primary reasons on the dam, when that tree grows, it has roots, and the roots go down into the dam. And when that tree dies, or if it falls over, it can pull up big chunks of soil, which can expose the fill of the dam, which can cause erosion. But more importantly, when that tree dies or falls over, the roots remain, and as those roots decay, they can leave a pocket that water can infiltrate through, and over time that water can infiltrate through the dam and can cause a failure. And at the entrance to the auxiliary spillway here behind me, you don't want trees growing up because during a flood event, should the water get that high, they can hold back debris and cause a mini dam, so to speak. And when that fails, it can cause a release of water that can cause major damage to the dam and potentially worse flooding downstream.
Cory mentioned those channels, and you can imagine what a groundhog's going to do if he has a hole in there, and if he abandons his hole, or even if he doesn't abandon his hole, that's a channel for water to infiltrate into the dam.
Another thing is in the emergency spillway, here in the mountains, we have a lot of cut back into the mountain where they built the spillway, and so we have shale and sandstone here that can naturally weather and fall into the spillway. We have to keep that removed. We don't want water flowing through the spillway to hit that and churn around it, because that can cause erosion or digging, and it can cause a failure.
There's literally hundreds, if not thousands of people downstream of these structures. And here we have a lot in series. So, if there was to be a big storm, we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to protect those downstream landowners, keep them safe.
And I think the dams do more than just protect us from flash floods. So what are some of the other values of having the dams?
So one of the biggest things, and this lake here at Hone Quarry is an example, is they provide a great recreational opportunity for folks in the community. This lake here is stocked with trout, and so people can come and trout fish here. They can come here to bird watch. They can come here to go hiking and just hang out. We often see people laying on the banks of the dam sunning themselves when we're up here doing inspections, picnicking. There's a large Old Order Mennonite community here in Rockingham County, particularly in the western part, and a lot of them will come up here for Sunday for picnics and bring their horse and buggies up here just to hang out. The dams also have a minor component of sediment control, so they help to hold back and store sediment that's washing in from the watershed above. And as a matter of fact, when these dams are designed, when they figured the pool size, they actually figured some sediment storage into that pool.
Yeah, and I don't think Hone Quarry acts in this capacity, but don't some of our dams that are used for flood control also provide water sources for localities?
Absolutely. Here in Rockingham, we have a Switzer Dam that is owned and operated by the city of Harrisonburg, and it was built as flood control, but also water storage for the city of Harrisonburg. And what they actually do there, they don't actually take water directly from the lake. They do it more indirectly. They release water downstream in the dry river, and then they have an intake further downstream that collects water and takes it to the city.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for this time and all this great information about flood control in Virginia. This is just an incredible thing to see and learn about.